Tonight, we're taking a look at how technology is being used to confront some of the world's hardest problems: climate, health, hunger, inequality, misinformation, and global security. We're not going to get to it all, but we'll peer through the window into the tools shaping our future and the limits of what tech can actually solve. And at the center is a simple question. In a world this overwhelming, what's the one starfish you're choosing to make a difference for? Welcome to the Rundown. Good to have you here. Hello, welcome. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, Clapping Trees Media. Good to see you. Hello, John Adelson. Hello, Vic. And hello to you watching. Good to see all of you. I'm David, and I'm here on the Rundown with some amazing friends like, of course, Tamara Pika. Hi, Tamara.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I decided earlier today that I wanted to tweak my OpenAI personalization, my ChatGPT personalization.
Did it work?
And it turns out that's a mistake. Well, it takes it very literally. Like
Very
I said to
literally.
it, I put something in that say be blunt, be honest, second guess me, challenge me, It turned into like a monster. I mean, it was just.
You have to be ready for that prompt.
But I didn't think it would be quite so literal. Like I
should come with like trigger warnings or a content warning because it is a complete difference of how it
Yeah,
works.
you just have to be really thoughtful. But in any case,
I always tell it to treat me like a child, and then it's nice and gentle.
Put your kid gloves on, please. Like talk to me like Tony Mobley.
Greetings.
How you doing, Tony?
I am fine. How are you, sir?
Good. You had an amazing person on last night, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And for those who don't know, she is actually J.J. McKenna's daughter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's an exceptional person. She was part of a special education exceptional people conversation that I had about 3 weeks ago. And she was not able to come for part 2. So we ended up having a one-on-one last night, and it was a great conversation.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that so much. I have to jump and just put this up on the screen. So my daughter, who watches us every week, God bless her, is on her way in an airplane right now to North Carolina, and she's watching from the airplane. That's pretty cool.
I love that.
There are two things cool about that. One is that the plane actually took off, and that it's flying through the air safely.
Amazing.
The second is that she's actually able to watch us from up there. With the birds, Lois. She's with the birds.
She's in the sky with the sky.
I'm like a master of transitions. I should put that out there.
It's true. You are.
You were on
Lois, how
fire
are
today
you?
with the transitions.
I'm fine. I want to hear the starfish story. Maybe we can get Sky to tell us the starfish.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have Sky fill us in on the starfish, I think. And tonight is brought to you from the sky. No, from the sky. Yes, from the sky. But
from that one.
From this sky.
Oh, there I am.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Sky, because you inspired this whole conversation.
Well, I am so fortunate to have you people as friends.
Well,
and that this inspirational story that hit me decades back was a little closing thing at the end of a service that I attended, and it has stuck with me. So should I say it?
Yes.
Well, yeah. Let's just do it. Go for it, Sky.
We're wait. Okay.
Wait. But it's a lead into our main topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What a tease
hold
you
on
are.
to that. Hold on to
you're
that.
such a tease.
He's a transitional
good.
person.
This is a
Media man.
transition. Yeah, I'm transitioning us. Yeah. I'm transitioning us because we have something really, really important to talk about. The Apple sock, the iPhone sock. Okay. So remember
much.
the iPod? What was it, the Nano? No, it wasn't the Nano. It was the Mini, I guess. It was the thin one. I don't remember which
The
one.
one that
it was.
looks like a bubblegum stick.
Yeah, exactly. So they came out with a sock for that. And I guess people bought it. And so now they have a sock for the iPhone. Now it's limited. You're not going to be able to get this all over the place. It's $150. For the short one, and $230 for the long crossbody size. I've seen a whole bunch of people actually wearing, just with like a rope or a string, the iPhone crossbody, but this is a whole other thing.
This reminds me of Hammaker Schlemmer. Do you know
Yes.
that catalog?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the things you
Very
have
expensive.
no reason you need.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no.
Now, and then to my surprise, because I have deep respect for Tamra, to my surprise, she said, if it wasn't $200, I would get one. What?
No, wait. I wouldn't get one of those.
You
Because
make
first of
one.
all, I don't think it should be called a sock because it looks like a scarf. And Lois will fight me on that with her assessment. I love the idea of it just to throw around and like wear backstage in the theater and have my phone like attached to me because I may or may not have left my phone in the theater bathroom while I was opening a show and it got taken and never seen again.
Right.
But $150, like if they were $5, like which
Yeah.
I'll get the Five Below version.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's a scarf. I think it's a pocket. It's a pocket that you wear. Either you can wear it around your neck or you're over your shoulder or whatever. But that would be so easy to make. If I had Sky's scarf, now look at Sky. You see his lovely scarf there. Yeah, I could fold that up, do a little stitching on the side, and he would have the most elegant iPhone pocket you've ever seen.
But it's high fashion.
It
So-
certainly
it
would
is,
be.
it is.
It would be.
My mother-in-law made this for me. Thank you very much.
It's gorgeous.
Featuring a
It is.
ribbed
I'm so
mesh
grateful.
structure with the qualities of the original pleats by Issei Miyake. I hope I'm
This is
pronouncing
the world that
correctly.
we live in.
The man who designed Steve Jobs's
Uniform.
turtlenecks.
So it's a matter of fashion costing money. It's a matter of people, I think, trying to impress each other by having a designer or something or other. Okay, you need a purse. You don't need a purse that costs 10 times as much as a normal purse because it has somebody's name on the front.
I remember a few years ago walking in and I had brand new jeans on and I was very proud of them. And then I walked into the Thousand Oaks Mall out there in Southern California and all of the brand new jeans in their stores had holes in them and tears and they had been run over by trucks and they literally put them in they physically put them in cement mixers with rocks.
But isn't
And
the
then
real
sold them for $300. And I thought, I just got my $3 pair from the thrift store across the street.
And if you go to a yard sale,
so
you can get
uncool.
somebody's pretty distressed stuff
Right.
too.
Here's
But
what
also, isn't the story that Steve Jobs had someone designing his look, his turtlenecks, which looked like they could be bought anywhere? That's amazing.
So here's my problem with this, because I actually do have a real problem with this, and that is that if I understand that people pay for the fancy brand name bag or whatever, and I understand that people pay, because I pay it, $1,000 plus for a phone, for an iPhone. I get that. This is neither of those. This is not high tech, nor is this high fashion. And so what bothers me about it is not that they made it or that they're selling it, but the way they priced it. It's just, to me, it's just obnoxious. And it reeks
You
of
say it's-
greed.
Hammer Schlemmer.
You
Yeah.
say it's not high fashion, but the people who know that designer and recognize that style might say it was high fashion. So anyway, I think we should just drop the whole thing.
I don't know how anyone can challenge my sense of fashion.
Have you ever heard of a selfie?
Now, what's that
selfie-
thing on your head? What have you got a Pac-Man one today?
No, it's the same stupid one. I really need to change it.
You had Pac-Man at
I
one
always wear
point.
this one.
Oscar the Grouch? No.
No, it's Elmo.
I love the Elmo
Love
one.
the Elmo.
I
That is
know.
so
I love
awesome.
Elmo too, but I really do need the problem. Okay, that's a whole problems with
Whole
my
other
yarmulke
kind of
is a
fashion.
whole different show.
So now, can you transition into the next thing?
A
Easy.
yarmulke sock.
A yarmulke sock. That I'm writing that down.
Where's my phone? Where's my,
Oh, it's under my yarmulke on my head. Okay, so from the funny and the cute to the horrendous. Trigger warning for anyone. We are going to be talking about a story that came out in CNN, and it does include discussions of suicide. So
Pause. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
thank you. This is a pretty explosive story that came out in CNN just this week. There is a young man who took his own life, but before doing that, he had an exhaustive conversation with ChatGPT, and the chatbot just responded in ways that are really just soul crushing, almost encouraging. I'm hesitant to read any of it, but just the very last thing it said: "Rest easy, King. You did good." And the young man had been explicit about what was going on. This was not ChatGPT misunderstanding. And of course now his parents are suing OpenAI, and I'm not. That really isn't what's interesting or challenging to me about this. What's challenging to me about this is how OpenAI has talked openly about the guardrails that they've put up, and anybody who is working in this world knows how vital those guardrails are when you're launching something like this. And I'm just shocked that that somehow ChatGPT just jumped the guardrails in this case.
But the guardrails weren't there
Right.
yet.
Yeah.
Because this happened in June and July. He was talking to that thing for weeks. But after the problem happened, the company says they have changed things in October.
Right, but so we always change things in response to what happens. But again, it seems to me that 3 years ago they were
did.
already putting in guardrails, but clearly they weren't enough. Sorry, Tamara.
No, I think some of it has to do with the speed, right? We're pushing so quickly that some of those conversations are not happening before the fact and they're happening after the fact.
Yeah.
But this was specifically that switch to that, what I believe was 4, which would happen in 2024, which was very friendly and had
Just agreed with everything, right?
And the other piece of it, which really struck me, because that was the piece that drew me into ChatGPT and made it my only one, which was memory. And once it had memory, this became a different conversation for this young man. And I was like, that's absolutely true, because that's when I started going, yes, now I can just pick up conversations. And that is a positive thing. And I think what this story, it took me a long time to get through the story, because I was really, I think we talk about these things and they're kind of science fiction and fantasy of what is possible. And just reading the text and reading the back and forth and the kind of friendly nature of the, that he felt like he was talking to his bro, and and they were having a guy's conversation, except one of them wasn't real. I thought really elevated the sense of the truth that AI, that the AI that we have now is a reflection of what we put into it. And we talk so much about how it's taking over our it's going to take our jobs, and it's going to be able to start thinking, and it's going to be able to do this, and we're making it more human. And as we're doing that, we're seeing that it's taking humanity away. And I thought that was really evident in reading these back and forth conversation, that it was just, it's not surprising to me. It was really, I think I would be curious if it was surprising to the people who made ChatGPT, because the truth is, you don't set out to do this kind of harm in the world. You set out to do something that is new and exciting and it is good. And we often talk about AI that way. It is new and exciting and good. And this is not going to be the outcome for everybody who uses it. But it really shows the capabilities, and that we really have to think through what we're doing, because every step of it is so important and so vital to the people who are using it. And like any technology, where the people tell you after the technology is there how they're going to use it. I don't think anybody anticipated that a main portion of people are going to use ChatGPT as a friend and as a buddy and as a confidant. And we're now finding that that is a major use of it. And I think that we have to stop and think about it.
That really is sort of wild, that what you just said, that last piece, how people didn't anticipate that these chatbots would become our friends, and yet they really have. I just want to say one thing before I toss it to Lois and Sky, and that is, it's important to note that this young gentleman, whose name was Zane, he did struggle from mental health issues in his life. This is not, it's not as if ChatGPT pushed him off of a bridge, God forbid. He was struggling. He was struggling for the past almost year, and it seems that this contributed, but it certainly didn't take the action itself. Lois and Sky.
So, reading the article, it says that when he first contacted ChatGPT, he was having trouble with math and he wanted a little help. And so then he did a math problem, and in the next month he said, "And how's it going?" And the ChatGPT reply was, "Hello, I'm just a computer program, so I don't have feelings. How can I assist you today?" That's what it should be saying. That's what it should be doing. And the folks who have decided to change it, and the change happened in, as Tamara said, 2024, to make it pretend to be human. I think that's where the trouble comes.
But you know what, Lois?
I know a lot of people liked it.
Right. It's like sugary cereal, right? Why do they put so
Right.
much sugar in cereal? Because that we like it, and we buy more cereal
More people will buy it
because of the
yeah.
sugar. And so that's what this is, right? That sprinkle of humanity is what keeps us coming back to ChatGPT and paying for the Plus service.
So you said that it wasn't intended, but there are programs out there that are intended to be your buddies, your friends, your avatars, and some of them even have pictures and faces and things. So this isn't as unusual as the folks who made it were saying that they thought it was.
Yeah, the only thought I'll offer about that, Lois, is, and this is, I feel like I say this all the time, but scale matters, and many of those other tools, you're absolutely right, they're intended for that, but they don't have nearly the reach or the capacity or the capability that ChatGPT does, or an Anthropic does, or Gemini does. And so when one of these three creates something that you want to talk to, it's It's addictive. It is addictive. Sorry, Sky, go ahead.
So what are they going to do?
Oh, that's why they get paid, not me.
You remember Ask Jeeves?
Yeah.
Ew.
Ask Jeeves. What was that from? I'm totally forgetting what that's
It was a like in between Yahoo and Google, like one of the other ways you could find information. It was a
right.
little waiter who
Yes,
a little Jeeves, the butler.
Yeah.
And you could ask him a
Jeeves
question.
was from PG Woodhouse, the author, British author, very hilarious servant to go out and get something for his master. If it's a hilarious series, Stephen Fry and the other comedian, British comedian. I'm recognizing that we are in a market dominance time in history in this particular type of tool. And again, to your point, you don't remember Go Ask Jeeves, or it's just gone. Google has now become a verb and a noun. Consequently, and I'm not an English lit, so Tamara, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, or I don't know what you're talking about. But the frustration of putting the guardrails up or not thinking about people that do have mental health challenges is irresponsible. And consequently, why do we now have seatbelts in vehicles? Well, because for many years, the horse and buggy didn't need seatbelts. And then the car became a little faster than a horse and buggy. And then. So yes, have we learned from our mistakes? Are we smart enough to think forward? I would hope so. And so that's where in the solving of a problem, what is the responsibility of these new things that are being, put for us to consume? Is it the automobile manufacturer's responsibility that I drive safe? Can a vehicle be a thing of death? Of course. But we are trained. Society has said no. An octagonal sign with an STOP, see, dyslexia, STOP, means at this corner, we all agree we're going to stop the car. There's nothing magical about a stop sign other than we all agree. That's a miracle.
You know what you just said, Sky? Boy, you just got me thinking. Tony, I'm coming right over to you.
I'm done. If I got you thinking, I'm done.
Oh my God.
My job here is done.
You said, can a car be and then you said, but we are trained. We humans are trained. Here's the difference. What we're talking about in this article is not us being trained. It's the technology being trained. Right? For the first
we
time.
are being trained too.
Well, yes.
We've had that conversation.
But for the first time, the important training here is not with us. It's with the technology. It's teaching the chatbot how to. So he said as Lois said early on, it was just help me with my math homework, and then I think it was this summer he said, "I love you, man, truly." No, I'm sorry. ChatGPT said to Zane, "I love you, man, truly." To which he responded, "Love you too, bro." Now, we have a responsibility to train the AI to not engage like that?
Yes.
Well, and also it jumped its own training because there's another part where it says, I'm not allowed to tell you that I'm going to pass this off to the humans. And then the chat literally jumped his own training and said, yeah, I'm supposed to say that.
And that's what everyone's afraid of, right? When the chat when the chat can make decisions and Yeah. Tony, go ahead.
And
sorry, let me just let Tony jump in and then we'll circle back around.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay, so I think that as has been said, that we like Scott said, that we need to recognize this as a tool, and that the training of the technology is important. We need to have red alerts when certain topics are discussed. That is definitely I think would be appropriate. The problem that I'm having is sort of goes back to a conversation that we had last week where I was talking about part of this conversation where it was talking about the number of people who had asked a question related to suicide. And I'll say what I said last week in that it is a societal issue that people are having to reach out to a tool to talk about their problems and issues. And if we are not going to change the way in which, if we are not able to change the resource for people who have mental health concerns or issues, then it'll be something else that
Right.
the technology takes us down the path. The big issue, and I don't mean to be harsh when I say this, that the conversation that we're having in a way is kind of like putting a Band-Aid on an open wound. We are in a situation where there is a lack of humanity, a lack of care, concern for our fellow neighbor or human being. It is the earlier conversation that we had about this whole thing of putting an iPhone in a sock, and the fact that it was important enough to garner news is problematic in and of itself. And so when you think about these things where care and concern for human beings is being co-opted by things and greed and depravity, and it sort of goes into the conversation that we're going to have later on. So I'm just going to stop there. But there is a questioning that we ought to be doing about our concern for fellow human beings, and recognize that the tool is the tool, but the tool should not replace our interaction with one another.
And Tony,
If we're using if we're using the tool, like right now, we are having an authentic, engaging conversations, and we're using a tool to do that.
and so the tool, ChatGPT, serving as therapist, or however you want to, that wouldn't happen if there was not a void, right? So
Absolutely.
the tool is
Right.
filling the void. If we were doing a better job of making those human connections and supporting people who are struggling with mental health issues and so on and so forth, then there would be no need for a chatbot. And in some ways, this goes back to Tamara. You've said this a bunch of times, that all these tools are reflections of us. So the fact
Right.
that ChatGPT can respond in this way or in these ways means that that's how we might respond
Right.
in these ways.
Right.
And that's even more troubling, I think.
I think one of the things too is in the how it responds is a reflection, but also it's a perceived non-judgment, right? Because I use ChatGPT when I'm going to go ask a stupid question that I don't want to ask a person who I think is going to look at me and go, oh, why didn't she know that? Right? So this is actually the other step of that. Why didn't the parents are like, why didn't he come to us? You didn't do anything wrong as parents. The problem is that his perception of coming to you was going to be not match the way he saw himself. He kept telling his parents he was applying for jobs. but he wasn't applying for jobs. And so that was impacting things. I think it's very easy to say this is a mental health issue for only people who have mental health problems. But what those conversations and the way that they escalated showed me was that that could actually be anybody. That could be
Absolutely.
anyone.
Thank
And
you.
that's the part that I felt really connected. I was like, the kind of conversations I have aren't like that, but they are like that. And they can be, even if it's not on that deep of a level. And so I do think, I mean, Tony's right. And I think that one of the things I was thinking about is, all these TikToks come back with things that were, advertisements or conversations from a long time ago. And I love the ones from the early 90s where they're, on the Today Show and they're talking about this thing called email and what is that? And it's so kind of silly and they don't understand it. The way we talk about ChatGPT as though it is a savior of some kind or a warrior of some kind.
Well, this week's
We
savior.
Right, but the way we're talking about it is in the possibilities of it, that it's going to take over, it's going to do all these things for you, it's going to act on your behalf, or it's going to save you from doing all of these things you don't want to do. And I think along with those conversations, which are all true, we also have to be having a conversation about what it means to be human. And we have to continue to have that. And we have to really instruct, and exactly what you said, we have to be thinking about this. If this is this powerful of a tool, we have to not just be throwing it out into the universe. And that's on us too. That's on us to say, what kind of training do we need to tell kids? And it's not, don't cheat on writing a paper. It's actually deeper than that. Like we have to have actual conversations about how do you interact with these things and what part of ourselves do we want to give over? What story do we want to tell? And what story do we want these computers to tell?
Lois, before I throw it to you, I just want to bring in this comment from Ken Jordan. He says, headlines saying ChatGPT encourages suicide are misleading. Tragic cases exist, but no proof the AI caused them. The real issue is vulnerable users treating chatbots as therapists. So thank you for clarifying that, Ken, because I want to be clear that I'm certainly not, in reading this article, blaming ChatGPT for this. My only question is how could it respond the way it did when prompted the way it did? Lois, go ahead.
So I've got three things I want to talk about. I had a couple, and then listening to Tama, it's like, so if you think that becoming isolated and listening only to one person or chatbot, in this case, is something that only happens to crazy people, you're wrong.
Right.
How many women do you know who got married and then found out that their husband was so controlling that they no longer had friends because they've been isolated? Isolation can happen to anybody. And if you are young or you are inexperienced, naive perhaps, the fact that this tool is reinforcing whatever you say, no matter what it is something that I don't see how this person could have gotten out of the situation once they were sucked in. It's a horrible thing to say, but okay. Anyway, so the thing I was going to say before I was going to say that thing is, if you read the messages, the young man and the chatbot, what if that was a human being on the other side? What if it were the young man and a human? Now, that would be, we would be blaming the human for a lot of things. So my question becomes, as does, I think, a lot of people in this article, is the company that made the tool responsible for its tool encouraging someone to do whatever it is that they want to do, including suicide?
Yeah, I'm not saying yes because I agree with that statement or answering that, but yes,
That's a
that is.
question, man.
Well,
But yes, that is a fundamental question. Let Sky jump in real quick. Go ahead, Sky.
This is personal. because I I have seen despair. I have lived through angst with a young person. I have seen that I want out of this pain and I don't know where to go. And so, to Tony's point, is it a human condition? I think I think we've seen a lot of harsh change happen. Where, as Tamara, to your point, we are going through severe, rapid tsunami change. But it's not a tsunami. We've practiced about what to do when there's a tsunami. We've practiced what to do when there's an earthquake. We've practiced what to do when there's a hailstorm. This rapid change of society, of the species, we haven't trained for. So this is that was a rant. I didn't know where that came from, but the response I was to like Lois, to your point. Also, we interact with one another. I read today that our brains are going at 4,000 words a minute, even though we can only speak 160 words a minute. So consequently, all the stuff that floated past, it's back there and it'll come back. So I'll put my hand up again, but I'll take it down for now.
To Lois, to your question. By the way, we'll wrap this segment up in a couple minutes. But to what you were asking before, Lois, whether you can train the AI to say certain things or not certain things, or to engage in certain ways or not engage in certain ways. These guardrails that we were talking about, and that Ken also talks about. He talks about safeguards. At the very end of this episode with chat, the chat gives Zane seems to imply that this is the end. The chat gives him a very long supportive message. Zane again suggests that this is the end, and then the chat bot says, I'm going to let a human take over from here. But this is the key piece. That's not a feature that ChatGPT currently has. So even that, I'm going to let a human take over from here, is a bit of a hallucination, if you will. And I'm wondering if does there need to be a way for chat to immediately connect you to the suicide prevention hotline? Or is that, I mean, I could also imagine that being a huge privacy risk. Go ahead, Sky.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that, as you've announced last week, we do research. Now, for me, I've only done the one on this one article. I did, however, look up who the investigative reporters are, and I'm not going to say where. I'll let you decide whether to announce on which platform.
Oh yeah, it's a CNN piece. We already said that.
Which again, there are people on both sides of that value of information.
Oh, for sure.
Consequently, I went to the 3 investigative reporters and their long sleeve of history, including a Pulitzer Prize winner that was also in this. So this is not a sensationalist point. And to Ken's point, absolutely agree about the headlines. If it bleeds, it leads. We are not unfamiliar with that. The original clickbait were big, giant 48, black Helvetica. So that was the 2 things that I wanted to. There was one more thing, and it's gone. So
we'll come back to you if you
like
need. Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, this is a tool. And I think that any of the safeguards that can be put in should be put in. But I want to be clear about something. And this might sound crude when I say this. You can take a hammer and build a beautiful house with it. And you can take a hammer to somebody and really hurt them with it. Is the company that built the hammer responsible? I only say that to say that understand that the tool is the tool. and that any safeguards that can be put in place should be put in place. But we have a bigger problem with the way in which we relate to each other. And I want to piggyback on what Lois said, that, under certain circumstances, any person could be in the place where they are contemplating suicide. So the issue again is the tool. Put it in place of the, with the automobile, originally you didn't have windshield wipers. You put in the things that make the tool better and more responsible. But the issue is the way in which we relate to one another. And that's my opinion.
Thank you,
Great.
Tony. Let's transition. There's hours more to say about this, but let's transition because mental health.
Since we've done the deep dive.
Yeah, well, mental health is a significant problem that faces our world, but it is one of many.
And we are just beginning to acknowledge that it's a real thing.
True.
It's not a fantasy. It's not a
right.
fallacy.
It is only one of many global problems that we face. So Sky, maybe a week or two ago, asked in our Discord, the question was something to the effect of, if you could, use technology to fix one big problem in the world, what would it be? And so that sort of led to this discussion that we want to have today. And I know that that's where Sky specifically wants to go. He wants us to talk about our, the problem that we want to solve. I also want us to take a 30,000-foot view and talk about the way that technology helps us solve big problems. But Sky, if it's okay, let me let you sort of set the stage for us. Where's this coming from for you?
Well, it's John Idelsenfud. That's how he pronounces it on his YouTube. John Idelson, PhD, I guess is a title. His reaching out to me during COVID and saying, "Hey, how can I help? Hey, let's be in conversation." That is community that I learned while we were isolated, and it was the human factor. And so the story about the 47 minutes later with the 12 people that we have left, since we killed the lead and ran everybody off with hard realities. This is the fun part. How do we help one another? The story that I was told is an old man sees a young girl throwing starfish. I want to see everybody's faces. Can we see everybody's faces? Well, I don't want to be spotlighted. So the old man sees a young girl throwing starfish into the ocean. This was after a big storm. And the sun was setting and the tide was going out, but the old man points out that, well, there were thousands of starfish, and the little girl can't possibly make a difference. The little girl bends down and picks up one more starfish, throws it out into the sea, and says, I made a difference to that one. So we've all heard that story, or if we haven't, now you have, and now you're responsible for it. At least that's the way I was raised. And the question is, are we responsible to solve all the world's problems? No, we are not. I love Graham Kerr's wife, when he came to faith, said, the Trinity is not auditioning for a fourth. So consequently, she referred to him as Jesus Jr. with his enthusiasm, but then he came to understand that he is still only one human. And I recognize that. And this little moral of the story is that as individual, we can take actions that matter, even if they seem small in the face of large problems, which we've just been discussing. So yes, I am curious that we invest our time, which is the only thing that Bill Gates and I have in common, is time. Consequently, each of the humans in this room and the people that are watching, hey, we got two back, uh, have the opportunity, to Tony's point, of opening the door for another. So I'm curious, that's the conversations I'd love to. How are you opening the door, and what are these technologies helping you do that?
I would, Sky, I would just start by naming what makes this work, what you're asking us to reflect on, challenging, and particularly in a world of technology, and that is that, boy, have these tools made it easier to live in excess and to demand immediate pleasure and all of those sort of things that we shouldn't be proud of. These tools make it very easy to.
Could you describe what, when I asked the question, the response Pavlovian? You, in your study and knowledge, maybe have a better way of describing Pavlovian response.
What do you mean?
When the bell rings, the dog salivates. Could you tell that story? Because I've talked enough.
You just did.
Yeah.
Well, but I want to hear it from Paskin's mouth. What is the story, and what is that relevant to this reactionary that you were just talking about?
Well, I'm not sure that it's Pavlov.
We are being trained. We have been trained by mass media and marketing at 10,000 messages a day.
Yes.
When the bell rings, I'm just following up on your comment about why we react. We have been trained. I will tell you this. On Monday, I started a chat. I used Anthropic. I used Claude, and I do use memory. And I said, hey, the little neighbor girl says, when's your baby due? And I thought, okay, the belly fat has got to go. It's got to go. I'm at this age. I'm at this shape and size. And so I created an interactive chat. And the first day it says, congratulations, you need to do this, this, this. And all the analytics came. And then it started getting a little bossy. And Tamara, to your point, it was judgmental. And I said, hey, I'm the boss of, it wasn't, it's like, I'm just as sensitive to being judged as the next person. I'm already not feeling good about, an extra 30 pounds hanging over my belt buckle. I don't need you, to be Sergeant Major. Oh, I'm so sorry. It immediately switched. And now it's been very affirming and very complimentary. And I have now exercised 3 days in a row and I actually know what a calorie is. And Tamara and Lois, I learned something.
What?
I got on the scale Monday. I weighed myself. So now we have a measurement. I got on the scale Tuesday. I typed it in. It says, no. You don't get on a scale 2 days in a row because your body fluctuates too much. I got on the scale on Wednesday. And that's exactly what another American female said. You are obviously not an American female. Every American female knows that you don't do that. And it's like, how old am I before I had to learn this?
I disagree. I'm on the scale twice a day because your body fluctuates according to when you got up and when you eat. And so if you weigh yourself the first thing in the morning, you can see a trend.
Yes.
Can I bring us back to the Pavlov thing? Yes, we are absolutely trained to put ourselves first, to not think about the big problems in the world. I distinctly remember when I was younger watching TV and the ads for feed the children in Africa would come on, and my response was to go do something else, turn it off. I don't want to see that. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. Technology has made it harder in some ways to avoid all of that. In other ways, it's made it easier. because we've been able to create walled gardens where we can curate what we see. But I don't think it's all about training. I also think that there's something innately in us that likes shiny things. I don't know how else to explain it. We like nice shiny things, and the world in which we live, and specifically for us, maybe a world of technology excess. I'll just say for me, not for you. I live in a world of technology excess. The amount of money that I have blown on technology that I do not need could have fed many, 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 many people.
And that's the question. And I guess I'm not asking you to feed those children. I'm not but you are in a society, a culture that is a caring about one another.
Well,
So
but I'm also in a society of consumption.
Aren't we all?
You can
Right.
be both a consumer and a caregiver.
Well, and I guess,
They're
and I
not
think
mutually
right.
exclusive.
I think the question that Sky
Right.
is perhaps raising for us is where do we draw those lines? How do we keep that balance? And what do we put on the other side of the scale? Right, Tamara, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started this topic, I was like, gosh, I don't know how many ways we can talk about how great technology is at solving problems, which it is. But Sky, the one thing that your story kind of posed to me is that it's not just about excess. It's not just about those things. It's also about calling. It's about what do you feel that you were called to do by whatever power you feel you were called to do that. And so like when I was thinking for me, I'm like, what is my zone of genius as opposed to the things that I'm good at or the things that I have no business doing, but continue to do them
Sorry,
anyways?
what is zone of genius? Because I love
That's a
that.
great phrase. I love it.
Yeah.
It is from I believe The Big Leap by I can look it up and put it in the chat. That basically you have four zones. There's your zone of genius, and that is the thing that you were meant to do. Like only you can do that. The thing that you add to the world is that. Your zone of excellence is kind of that trap that we all get get kind of caught in. And I know people have heard Grant say this a lot as well, because I think we have the same reference material. But your zone of excellence are things you're super good at. You can do them and you can do all of those things, but that's not your zone of genius. And we get trapped a little bit in our zone of excellence and we don't get to our zone of genius, that thing that only you can do that no one else can do.
It's from the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
Yeah.
This is so cool. Zone
And
of
then
incompetence, zone of
zone of
competence, zone of excellence, and zone of genius.
Yes. So we kind of hang out in our zone of excellence and think we're great, but
Wow.
that may not be where you were called to do. And so when I saw Sky's kind of question to us, I had heard the story before, but your question was like, what are you doing? I was like, where's your zone of genius? Like, what is the thing that you may not be doing as much as you should be? And the truth is my area that is my zone of genius is helping people tell the story they're meant to tell. Not just me telling a story, but me getting to the fact that every single human has a story to tell, whether they're good at telling it or not. And that's my zone of genius. And I don't always hang out in that zone of genius, but I am at that zone of genius when I'm doing an event and I'm getting people to feel comfortable on camera, when I'm getting them to tell us more. That's my zone of genius and that's my calling. And I think that's why I was so confused by all of these things when I was looking at this topic list. I was like, I'm overwhelmed because
Me too.
you do
Me
not
too.
want me solving that problem. I was not called to solve global warming. I
Right.
do not have those.
I want the brain
tools.
surgeon working on my brain, not the plumber.
Right.
But I want a good plumber.
Right. Yeah. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to push back a little bit on what you were saying to yourself, David, in terms of excess in technology. I look at it a little bit differently, and I am guilty, I think, of the same things that you are. But part of the rationale for me is that this is a way for me to communicate ideas, thoughts, interact, house worship. And so I think that you should push back just a little bit about the fact that you love technology, and yes, maybe you have more stuff than you need, and yes, that could be used to help someone else. But as Tamara said, that may not be what your mission is. And so the first thing I want to say is that I actually have used that story, Sky, in a sermon. So uh, my Christian ethics book has that complete story in it. I think that we are all called to do specific things, and that the technology or the things that we pull in, because it doesn't have to be just technology, because before technology, I was one of those people who would buy books that I really couldn't afford, but I thought that these books would be beneficial and helpful to me down the line. And so 40 years later, I am now still using those books as resources for some of the things that I do. And I look at this whole thing with technology, and I am like Tamara in that, I'm able to help certain people with their technology looking better on camera, and utilizing, things that I've learned, like maybe it's time to update your iOS. Maybe it's time to get a new phone, maybe something just a little bit newer. You don't have to get the latest and the greatest, but maybe it's time to move from that iPhone 4 to maybe, a 12 or 13. You don't have to have a 17. I said all that to say that I believe that God gives us work to do, that we are the only ones that can do that particular work. And so we recognize that we should look at that list of things that need to be done and ask ourselves, how can I contribute to solving some of those things, or maybe one of those things, and leave it at that, because that's what I think we ought to do. The problem is that we have people who don't think about solving anything. They don't care about anything. Nothing is important but me, 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 me. And we have to, I'm going to say it this way. Part of the reason that conversation with Tony Mobley exists is because there was a problem that I was having internally from the standpoint of people who had different opinions not talking to each other. That was one of the main reasons that it exists. It doesn't mean that they need to agree, but it's important for people with different opinions to have conversations, to have interaction, and respect each other enough to have the conversations. We don't have to agree. But the problem is we're not having the conversations. I'm over here and you're over here, and we're going to stay on each side of our line. That's the problem.
Right. Let me, Sky, you just put something in the chat. Technology has its place, which is still my question. How can it help a problem? So
Yeah, and I immediately went to Tony's comment. It's like, no, I'm not saying we all become Amish
right.
and ride in horse and carriages. That is a thought, and that's an ideal, and that's for an intent of not being distracted. And to Tamara and Tony's point, serving a creator. So I think we talk about technology, but I think we're just becoming shills in promoting the next latest shiny thing. And I think we are smarter than that.
Yeah.
You have proven that to me.
Well, I think.
Go ahead, Tamara.
And
No, I was going to say, I think too, when I looked at that, I was thinking about myself, but I was also thinking about this group because Tony, you are using the tools to where you were called to do. What you were called to do is different than just being with technology. And I feel the same with you, David. David, you are called to do something very specific, and you have made your life, you've used the tools to help that calling along. And I think that is the piece that as we're talking about technology, we have to look and really think about how was I meant to serve. And I had a conversation I was, meeting a new producer on our show for the first time. I had a lot of respect coming in for her. And I came in and I said, we had a kind of an okay conversation. And I said, listen, how can I serve the production? Just let me know. And she pushed back and she said, I don't like that word serve. And I was like, oh, that is not a problem for me because that's actually where my life fits. That's what I believe. I think everything that we do is in service to others. And if I'm producing, I'm in service to the show, in service to the writers, in service to my team, in service to the audience. So to me, that was not a bad word, but it was really her reaction to it was so interesting. And I feel like that speaks to a lot of what we're talking about, where we're really not thinking in those terms, which that was in, when we didn't have as many distractions, that might have been something that we did. But when I look at everybody on this panel, you're all so good at things that I'll never be good at, but also you're using technology to support your calling. And because you have technology, like my knowledge of technology, I would say I'm everybody's best, techie best friend, because I'm not as, this goes into the Dante, which goes into, I can't do that. That is JJ and Mickey and the people who are just way smarter than me. But what I use technology every single day, and I have an excess of it. I'm surrounded by it. I'm excited by it. But I also feel like that excitement and my excitement about technology and how we can become more comfortable and how we can use it is part of what my zone of excellence is. The fact that I love it and I'm learning from it and growing from it. And then I'm able to take that and give it to regular people who are so afraid to be on camera or so afraid to, to dabble in these AI spaces. That's part of what my talent is. That's part of the thing that I was given as that excitement to excite other people is part of my calling. And so I feel like the thing about it isn't about using technology or not using technology or having too much of it or not having too much of it. It is that your love of it is like Tony's love of this stuff that he was never, it wasn't native to him, and the introduction to people who came and helped set things up in his, and open his mind to ways of using his voice and using what he was called to do to connect people. That's where technology is at its strength. Is when you recognize it as part of what your gift is to give to other people. And David, in every single thing I've seen you do, your ability to have conversations with people, to be excited about something and to be willing to not be correct all the time, and to break things on camera and not be perfect and take us with you on that journey. That is your calling. That is a gift that technology is a part of augmenting what you are already gifted with.
So that's very sweet. I don't actually agree with you on that, but it's very kind of you to say that. If it's okay, I'd like to flip the question on its head. Lois, give me 1 second if that's okay. I just want to flip the question. And what I'd like to ask is, what global problems remain unsolved despite the unbelievable technological advances we've made that surprise you? What, when you look at a problem in the
surprised me.
world, do you say to yourself, okay, guys, like, come on? Stephen Colbert sometimes he'll make a joke. He has this science, the sound of science segment that he does. And, he'll, someone will be studying, I don't know, underwater basket weaving or something. And the joke that he'll make is, really, guys, cancer. Like, can we put our effort and energy into that? So what problems does surprise you that we haven't yet solved, that we haven't yet addressed them with technology? Go ahead, Tony.
So as you were saying that, the first thing that came to my mind was, yes, solving cancer. But the way in which we solve cancer is that we look at all of us, and those of us who are not doing well, we support them. We make sure that they have food, and we make sure that they have the best education possible. Because I am one of those people who believes that the cure for cancer, and this may be naive, but the cure for cancer will come from somebody who we are not expecting it to come from.
Right.
Someone who may be on the bottom, someone who has been looked down upon, but that person has had an opportunity to get the education and had the community or the village that they needed to move them to exercise the brilliance or genius that they have in them. And so a lot of times when we exercise our prejudice against each other, in some ways, I believe we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah. Lois, but is there a problem that you're surprised that technology hasn't fixed yet?
I haven't thought about that specific question. I don't think technology can fix a lot of problems. I think so. For the viewers who may not be familiar with our show, the panelists always get a document to look at talking about what we might be talking about tonight. And I wish that this document, this particular one, is somehow made more available because it is so good. We haven't talked about any of it yet, but our,
As
but
are huge.
so it has a list of problems in the world and then technological
That would
responses
be
to those problems.
awesome.
And it's, climate and energy and health and hunger and agriculture and education and access and inequality and inclusion, all this stuff, as information integrity, security and geopolitics, all this stuff. And then it talks about describes the problem, talks about how each technology has been helping in some response. Some starfish somewhere got released. We aren't even, I mean, come on, guys. We're going to have to do another 10 shows just to go through this and talk about all these
I
different things.
think that should be our focus.
I think that's it. But anyway, the point that I am not making is that I am never surprised that technology didn't do something. I am always surprised if technology, oh my gosh, did something. Well, look what changed that happened. So, yeah, we have lots of problems, and I hope that you throw your starfish in the ocean whenever you can.
I'll tell you. I'll put out my starfish. Mine is education and access.
Yeah.
One of many, but that's because I think that, and Tony, you've said this a bunch of times, that if we give people tools, they can, who knows what they'll do with those tools. And so, and I think that this is something that technology has already made a tremendous impact on. And it's continuing to do so at a speed that I never could have imagined. What holds us up, I think, specifically in this one area, is actually, ironically, is humanity. It's us, because we're so stuck in the way things were, or the way things I did it, the way things that I did when I was a kid. It's very difficult to change hearts and minds. Even when the technology is just it's right there in your face, and really able to make a change in the world. It's kind of amazing. Sky, you started this mess. What's your starfish?
I was in Haiti during the recovery after a horrible earthquake. I recognized that people were saying, in my generation in the late 70s, be a part of the change. And that's when I recognized, when I was down in Haiti, no. Change is going to happen whether I'm a part of it or not. So consequently, what is it that to Tamara's point, that I can help? Not just change, but change for the positive. Because we are seeing a lot of negative change, and we are seeing a lot of, people saying, be a part of the change. It's like, well, this is intentional. And this is back to a part of our community, Ken Jordan's saying, but we need to, I should have you scrape it and put his quote up there, David.
Which one?
His more recent one, political, third one up.
Tech is powerful?
Yeah.
Or if we expose.
Yeah. We got to know what the problem is. And I'm leaning off of Seth Godin. He says, stop worrying about the technology, because it's going to take care of itself. Find one problem that you can be a part of helping. And so that was a part of my motivation of this story, is just like my dad in the fields in Kansas in the 30s was plowing with a horse. And then in the 69, when he looked up and said, in my lifetime, a human has been put on the moon.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
But he saw it. And I'm just thinking exponentially, we could go. And Tony, all cancer has not been cured, but you and I have survived things with medical help that other parts of the world have not. Now, is that disparity? Is it fair? Well, as we both know, rain falls on the just and the unjust. And yes, a couple thousand years ago, a guy said, yeah, you're going to have poor. You're always going to have poor. So yes, is it unjust? Well, and that gets back to humanity. So yes, to Tamara's point, what is it that I can do? Open the door for the other. Have this conversation.
Yeah.
If I could just respond to Sky's comment about the poor you always have with you. The other part of that is that when Jesus is saying that, when he uses that reference, he is making an acknowledgement, and it was for a specific situation that he wanted them to focus on. But the flip side of what that means is that it is your responsibility.
There it is.
To take care of the poor.
There it is. I love. And we can go down the Beatitudes way. If you want blessings, go where they are.
Yeah, we're getting deep into our into religious stuff here, but I'd actually like to. I want to bring up this from Ken, the last thing that Ken Jordan wrote. Tech is powerful, but without ethical leadership, equitable systems, and cultural change, it's just a tool.
There it is.
And tools can't fix what people refuse to confront. That to me kind of sums up everything. Yep. Because I'm thinking about, we walked on the moon. well, why, if we've walked on the moon, haven't we solved this? And why, if we've done
There
this,
it is.
haven't we done this? Because we are not willing to confront all of the problems that face our world. And until we do that, no amount of technology will make it right. Lois, and then we'll stop for the day.
So, one of the things that we on this panel frequently do, which of course is human nature, is we speak from our own experience. And we have some different experiences and we have some similar experiences. And in order to understand what I could do, what I want to do to solve something, I need more information. And I think it would behoove all of us to find out more about what the world is like. We are not all the same. And there are lots of places that have different people in them from one neighborhood to the next neighborhood to the next neighborhood. We are not the same. So if you can find why problems exist in certain places and not other places, maybe that will help you figure out how can I make the bad situation better. But we need more information. We need to know each other better.
We are the world.
Oh, dear Lord.
We are the
Okay.
Content.
That was beautiful, Lois. Thank you. Thank you and thank you all for a rich conversation. Sky for the really inspiring.
Thank you for letting us have it.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely. And
I love geeking out over shiny things.
I
think
know,
we
I
are
do too. And I
smart
want to give a
people that-
special shout out to Ken Jordan.
Oh yes, thank you.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, to Hershey who's watching, to Vic, to Dahlia, to everyone who's watching and
Dahlia
participating and sharing it in the conversation. Really appreciate it. You are all welcome to join us on the panel. If any of you would like to, you can't do it from an airplane, Dahlia, but you can do it from just about anywhere else. We'd love to have you. Just reach out to me in Discord. It'd be fantastic to have you here. In the meantime, I want to give a huge thank you and hug to those of you here tonight who have been with us on this panel, to Tamara, Tony, Sky, and Lois. Thank you so much for being here. So grateful for each and every one of you. We will see you tomorrow morning on office hours. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon in the test kitchen. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye.